Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Ole Miss and Lane Kiffin doing a phenomenal job building this 2024 class and adding the quarterback of the future in four-star quarterback Trever Jackson in a really interesting storyline for Trever Jackson as a recruit. As a junior, kind of split time, didn't play a ton, gets invited to the Elite 11 finals, absolutely shows out a phenomenal arm. And then the offers start coming in for Trever Jackson. And who comes in? Lane Kiffin, and grabs probably one of the more talented quarterbacks in this 2024 class. And although Trever Jackson is raw, he has the potential to be an elite SEC quarterback. And I love the fit with Lane Kiffin. If there's a coach across the country that I trust to develop a talent like Trever Jackson, I think it's Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss. And you look at that quarterback room for years to come, right? You obviously have Jackson Dart, Spencer Sanders, Walker Howard in there, Austin Simmons already in there. Now you're starting to build the future of this class too, right? Trever Jackson, Austin Simmons, going to be in this quarterback room for the next couple of years. Ole Miss is going to have good quarterback play for a while. And I want to talk about how Lane Kiffin is going about building this program. This is something we talked about last weekend with Kamari and Franklin. I've been critical in the past of Lane Kiffin maybe using the portal a little too much and not focusing enough on the high school class. And what does he tell me to do? He tells me to kick rocks. In 2023, did a phenomenal job and is doing a really good job in 2024. So what I think you saw, and I'm kind of interested to hear the Ole Miss takes on this or Ole Miss fans' thoughts on this. I think when he got to Ole Miss, he realized the talent on this roster just wasn't good enough to be competitive in the SEC. And how do you turn that around real quick? You go to the transfer portal and you get guys that are proven, that played at the college football level, and he's done just that. I mean, Ole Miss is clearly trending in the right direction, but at a certain point you have to start getting these guys in the high school classes as well to kind of build that program up. And that's what Lane Kiffin's doing. And there's not many coaches across the country that I think have done a better job blending the use of the transfer portal and now also supplementing also with the high school recruiting classes. I think Lane Kiffin's doing a really, really good job of that. I'm interested to hear the Ole Miss takes in the comment section there. Now, before we get into Trever Jackson as a prospect, just want to say thank you to you guys and the Ole Miss fans. We've talked a lot of Ole Miss the last couple of weeks. They've been hot on the recruiting trail. Obviously, a massive win with Kamari and Franklin last weekend. Appreciate you guys rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. Again, can't thank you guys enough for rocking with the boys. And now we got football season. Very excited to talk this Ole Miss team that I think is a sleeper in the SEC. Now let's get into Trever Jackson. First thing, build, phenomenal build. 6'2.5", 185 pounds. Again, junior year numbers weren't great. 59% completion percentage, 16 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Not exactly lighting the world on fire. Didn't throw for over 2,000 yards. But I think what you see, and I think what a lot of programs saw in Trever Jackson once he lit it up at the Elite 11 is this guy's a raw quarterback, but the talent, the upside is certainly there. And that's why you saw programs like Texas A&M and UCLA and a plethora of other SEC schools come in late and pursue Trever Jackson and Lane Kiffin able to get him. And you turn on the film, there is a lot to like. You talk about a quarterback that has the arm talent to make any throw that Lane Kiffin in this Ole Miss offense is going to ask him to make, pushes the ball down to the deeper third extremely well. I think he has a very good arm in terms of fitting it in when he has to put some zip on it, but also layers his throws really well. Again, pushing the ball down, throws an absolute dot 40, 50 yards down the field. He has the arm to kind of get the deep ball going. One thing I'll say is you're seeing Lane Kiffin in this offense want to use the athleticism of his quarterbacks. Trever Jackson certainly has that, making people miss, really dynamic in space using his legs. This is a throw that I mean, kind of popped out on the film for me. You're going to see this cornerback kind of sit back in zone coverage. There's a small window you got to fit it into, and he puts it right where only his wide receiver can get it. That throw, like you go back and watch that throw, and I don't want to call anyone casual fans, but that throw might seem easy for kind of a casual fan. I mean, you have that underneath defender. You have the defender over the top. There's only one spot that ball can go, and he puts it right there. Talk about layering your throws. You talk about having the touch to make those kind of throws. Trever Jackson has that. And then you're going to see him just go be a playmaker here. Hail Mary, I believe, to win the game. Pushes the ball down. I mean, that is like 60, 65 yards. Ends up winning the game off that. I think you're getting not only a really talented quarterback, but I think a quarterback that has that pedigree to make those plays, to be special. Again, layers the throw, puts that throw right on the back shoulder, only where that wide receiver can get it. Again, some of these throws, not necessarily jumping off the film, but these are throws that you need to make at the college football level. One spot to put that ball, puts it right there. Really good throw by Trever Jackson. Again, has the arm talent to make a lot of these throws that Lane Kiffin is going to ask. You combine that with the athleticism, like you got to be really excited about this get in Trever Jackson. Again, not the most productive quarterback as a junior. I feel like you might see his recruiting ranking skyrocket as a senior if he kind of puts this together a little bit. Throwing on the run, pushes the ball down the field, throws an absolute dot, falling away from his target. I like this kid a lot. I think he's a gamer. I think he's really talented. And I think Lane Kiffin cannot wait to see what he can do with a guy like Trever Jackson. Steps up in the pocket, absolute dot on the sideline. This is a really good get. And you take a look at this Ole Miss class. I would encourage you to go watch the rest of Trever Jackson's film. Like really, really fun. You're starting to see him build this class. And I think the recipe is trying to crack the top 15 in the high school recruiting rankings and also trying to maintain a top 5 transfer portal year after year. I don't think we know the perfect recipe yet since the transfer portal is so new, but I think we can all agree high school recruiting is extremely important, but also supplementing that talent in the transfer portal. Teams have had a lot of success. Lane Kiffin has had a ton of success with transfers. I think Lincoln Riley has had a ton of success with transfers at USC. You're seeing programs use the transfer portal to really get their team in good spots. And if you can supplement both high school recruiting with the transfer portal and blend those two together, I think it's a really beneficial way to build a roster that can be competitive in the SEC conference. Now, this class, I think, for Ole Miss is really good. I think they've built the trenches in a massive way. Kamarion Franklin, Jeffrey Rush, two of the top defensive linemen in the country, two of the top recruits in the state of Mississippi. Cameron Beavers on the trenches, interior offensive line. Norrell White from Mississippi just committed, I believe, yesterday afternoon for Ole Miss. Another really good get. I don't think Ole Miss is necessarily done either. And we talk about two things. One, Ole Miss is trending in the right direction. This is a team that I think potentially has the best quarterback in the SEC right now going into the year with Jackson Dart. If Ole Miss can kind of make some noise and I think they're kind of in between that middle of the tier to the top tier SEC. If they can show they're a top tier SEC program, there's no reason in my mind why Ole Miss can't be recruiting at a little bit of a higher level. And if you kind of put it together on the field in 2023, I think you're really excited about maybe flipping a guy like Jamonta Waller, the number 1 player in the state of Mississippi, or even going and grabbing Mississippi State's top commit and Jimothy Lewis, 4-star offensive tackle from IMG Academy. I'm hearing a lot of buzz that Ole Miss is in it for Jimothy Lewis too. You talk about building the trenches. The playmakers on the outside will come, right? You're going to get good quarterback play. You're going to get good wide receiver play. There's going to be a line out the door to play in this Lane Kiffin offense. Can you build the trenches to be competitive enough to go beat Alabama, to go beat Georgia? I think that's where Ole Miss is working towards. And if you start landing guys like you did Kamarion Franklin, you start landing guys like Jimothy Lewis, if you're an Ole Miss fan, I think that's the recipe for getting Ole Miss to where it needs to be. Another massive get for the Rebels. Again, appreciate Ole Miss fans. Wanted to keep this short. We do have college football today, but wanted to hop on, talk about one of the more talented quarterbacks in the country in Trever Jackson going to Ole Miss. Appreciate the Ole Miss fans for rocking with the boys. If you do enjoy the content, again, consider subscribing to the channel, and we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.